Back in 2015, Star Wars was at an all-time high, with The Force Awakens becoming one of the most watched movies in the franchise. The internet was ablaze trying to answer questions such as who is Snoke and who are Rey's parents, which all culminated in the next film, The Last Jedi, when it finally came to cinemas to answer all of your questions. Suffice to say, The Last Jedi was a disaster. It caused a massive chain reaction and the decline of the entire franchise. After audiences were let down by that movie, it caused Solo to underperform, which led to other movies in the Star Wars story series to be cancelled. And not only that, but The Last Jedi left the main series without an obvious villain. Personally, I think they should have focused on Kylo and the Knights of Ren, but instead they chose to resurrect Palpatine, actively damaging the ending of the original trilogy and making the entire saga less meaningful. The Star Wars franchise was now dead in the water, and that's when The Mandalorian arrived on Disney+. Season 1 saw massive success after its first episode, mainly because it explored something in the Star Wars universe that we know very little about: Yoda. We know basically nothing about this little green group of aliens, and we've only ever seen 2 of them on screen before, both of which were fully grown Jedi Masters. We don't even know what the species is called, or what planet they originally came from, so when it was revealed that the person the Mandalorian was hunting was a baby version of Yoda, the internet once again blew up with theories. Season 1 and 2 follow the pair as they develop a bond and complete various tasks together like video game side quests, as we slowly get more information on Baby Yoda from fan favourite characters like Ahsoka Tano, and finally Season 2 ends with Luke Skywalker showing up to resume Grogu's Jedi training. And this brilliant cliffhanger is where Season 3 picks up. In Episode 1 we see Grogu training with Luke. Wait, what? Grogu and Mando are back together? But I thought he went with Luke to be trained. Oh, okay. So the moment that the entire first 2 seasons were building up to got paid off in another TV show, and now we're back to the usual video game side quests. Huh, well that's disappointing. What actually happens in episode 1 is Mando tries to redeem himself after removing his helmet at the end of season 2. So now he must bathe in the living waters under the ruins of Mandalore in order to be accepted by his clan. But first he must get a droid to help him navigate the ruins of the city, so he goes back to Navarro and he tries to reactivate IG-11, but this doesn't work, so instead he gets an astromech. Wait, assuming that he did get the IG-11 droid, where was he planning on putting him? Anyways, in episode 2 the trio go to explore the caves. First, the droid goes into the caves, then Mando and Grogu go into the caves, then Grogu comes out of the caves, then Bo and Grogu go into the caves, and finally Mando goes for a swim and we get a glimpse of the Mythosaur. I wonder if that setup will be paid off in the finale. In episode 3, Bo-Katan's house gets blown up, then they return to the Mandalorians, and Mando is allowed to come back because he went for a swim. Also, there's a bit in the middle of the episode, but that's not important. The next episode, we see Grogu training with the other foundlings, before one of them is captured by a large bird dragon thing. While the Mandalorians pursue the bird thing and recover the child, we get one of my favourite scenes of the series, further developing Grogu's backstory and how he escaped the Jedi Temple during Order 66, as well as the glorious return of the actor who played Jar Jar Binks. In episode 5, pirates attack Navarro, but the Mandalorians come to the rescue and they are given a place to stay as a reward for saving the city. In episode 6, Bo and Mando go to a planet to recruit more Mandalorians to help them retake Mandalore. Oh, and there's also a side quest in the middle with Jack Black, Lizzo and Christopher Lloyd. In episode 7 we see that Moff Gideon is back to full power and developing his own clone army based on himself. We also see Grogu get a new robot body and he starts terrorizing the village. Eventually the Mandalorians go back to their homeworld and attempt to reclaim it, but they uncover Moff Gideon's base. The Mandalorians are overwhelmed, Mando is captured, and the big guy goes out in the most epic way possible. The finale was pretty underwhelming, but it still had some great moments, like when Mando and Bo are fighting Moff Gideon, when the Imperial cruiser crashes into the base, and when Grogu saves them from the subsequent fireball. And to top it all off, it ended like an episode of the Looney Tunes. It's clear to see that this season was damaged by the Book of Boba Fett. Having such major payoffs in a completely different show just leaves a bad taste in the mouths of fans. They wouldn't have had to include so much fluff this season if they had just put those 2 or 3 episodes from the Book of Boba Fett onto the start of this season. But I will say the visual effects, set designs, and prop designs were all perfect as usual. This show has always looked great, and this season is no different. Overall, I'm very happy with how this season turned out. There are a few major letdowns, like the Mythosaur not playing a more major role in the finale, but it was a fun ride with great visuals and character moments. Sure, Star Wars still hasn't recovered since The Last Jedi, but with more movies and the Ahsoka TV show on the horizon, I remain hopeful for the future of the franchise.